Hi, I'm Mike Papantonio, and this is America's Lawyer. New interview documents have been released showing how former President Bush repeatedly downplayed and ignored his failures of 9/11. We'll explain what came out in that report. President Biden had Congress step in to prevent a major rail strike. And the rail workers, well, they don't have much to be happy about. And big changes are coming for both parties in Congress. We'll tell you what to expect. All that and more, it's all coming up. Don't go anywhere. America's Lawyer starts right now. We're finally getting more information about just how badly President Bush screwed up the warnings of 9/11, how he completely dropped the ball and caused the murder of 3,000 Americans. But now, we're just ignoring it. I got Farron Cousins with me to talk about it. How have we rehabilitated this guy? The facts are overwhelming in this new report that he was an idiot. He was a complete buffoon. He ignored warning after warning. But now his approval rating is 74% because the media embraced him. When he was going after Trump, they said, this is our new hero. They forgot about the fact that he killed, 1 million people?
Yeah.
1 million people, along with the 3,000 murders that took place on American soil.
Well, he's become the lovable doofus, not the grossly incompetent war criminal. He's the lovable doofus. He wasn't quite right, but hey, he was funny when he did his little dance that time. No, this man, especially now that these new documents have come out from the interview.
Talk about those documents. This is in-your-face documents.
It really is. The 9/11 Commission, worked out in April of 2004. We finally get to sit down with Bush and Dick Cheney, find out everything that happened in the run-up to 9/11. And what they found out, what George W. Bush told them was, I didn't know they were serious about these threats. I thought they were talking about he was going to attack overseas. I didn't know any of this. The CIA director was confusing me.
Yeah, didn't
it? It's absolutely absurd that this man continued to pass the buck.
How confusing is this? Osama bin Laden is coming to America to involve himself in terrorist activity. That wasn't in Europe. Tenet, met with him 40 times. 40 times. Even went to this idiot's ranch. Remember him out there with the sawing logs while America was falling apart? Went and met with this idiot 40 times and said, look, you need to understand, this is real. They're coming to America to bomb us or to complete some type of terrorist activity. And what he said was, well, I didn't think it was productive information. I didn't have enough information. It's almost like they needed to put a cross. Okay, here's an X, you idiot. This is what they're going to blow up. You need to do something about it.
Yeah, it wasn't clear where they were going to be, what they were going to do, so I just ignored it. Listen, we could have at that time, through the federal government that he was running, instituted very minor changes to airport security that could have prevented this. I mean,
they were recommending.
Yeah.
They were recommending these changes.
Yeah, and these, again, super minor things that could have been done that likely could have prevented this massive tragedy on our soil. But this idiot didn't understand it. And I think that's the point. It's not just that he downplayed it. He fundamentally couldn't understand it.
Do you remember Ellen had him on the show? Oh, he's a wonderful, funny little artist. Like, it's okay, man. You only killed 1 million people. You only allowed 3,000 Americans to be murdered on soil because you're too damn lazy to do your job. All of a sudden, he's the darling of the Democrats. Why? Because he took the time to attack to attack Trump. Look, this is not me and you talking. This is not supposition. These are declassified documents that finally are declassified. Talk about how he kept them secret.
Yeah. The whole 9/11 Commission report and George W. Bush, none of them wanted to point fingers at anyone. So that played a large role in keeping these documents secret. Obviously, it was in an election year that Bush clearly should have lost. And if this had come out, he would have.
Oh, he would have lost. There's no question.
They said, let's not point a finger at any individual. Let's just, we'll release our committee report. We're not going to say Bush failed. We're not going to say this agency failed. But they did, to a degree, point out the agency failures, which, in my opinion, is what really ramped up this militarization,
Right.
this increased military budget for the war contractors. This 9/11 Commission, by not placing the blame on him, said, "Oh, it's the agency failures.
Yeah.
Let's give them $800 billion to fix it."
Yeah.
That's one of the big
It
takeaways
was all
for
about
me.
the money.
Yeah.
The report, the FBI, the FBI conducted 70 independent investigations of bin Laden and could not figure out that the guy was a crazy loose cannon that wanted to create terror in the United States. 70 investigations. Again, Tenet meets with this bumpkin 40 times and says, look, this is real. Put your saw down. Put your saw down for a minute. Ignore your horses. Let's not talk about golf for just a minute. And I don't want to hear about daddy's accomplishments. Let's talk, you and I talk, this is really happening. That's how crazy this was. And Tenet was just so frustrated. He said, I don't know what else to do. I just have I don't know what else to do. Now, when he took over office, the second term, I don't want to look further into this because it's not productive to assign blame. That was his quote after he took office the second time. But beyond me, I swear, I can't even get my arms around it, how all of a sudden he is the new Democrat darling.
Yeah.
Killed 1 million people plus, 3,000 Americans murdered on soil because of his sheer incompetence. But that's okay. Let's put him on Ellen. Hell, let's put him on the talk shows during the day and talk about what a cute little bumpkin he is. Nothing cute about this story. The corporate media is lying to you about legislation that could change how news is shared on social media. This is a big lie, isn't it?
It is.
You've done a couple of stories on this. I love your take on it. Tell us in your word, what is your take on how the media is again hustling the American public?
Well, they've been pushing actually several different pieces of legislation. The big one, the official name of it, the Journalism Competition and Preservation Act. And we've talked about that plenty of times, but basically what it's going to do is allow these big news conglomerates who have already formed a consortium to go to the social media outlets and say, listen, you're going to share our stuff, but we're going to give you a good percentage of the profit. And that gives you more incentive to share our stuff instead of sharing independent media outlets who cannot afford what we can afford.
They're already doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. When you watch this segment, then off to the side and you look at what are the related segments, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC, no independence. As a matter of fact, if we're talking about a topic that has nothing to do with that little line of related stories, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
It makes no difference. First of all, the media isn't covering those kind of stories. Second of all, they don't care. They're going to push MSNBC in front of right after you watch this, they're going to pop up MSNBC, they're going to pop up CNN. So it's already happening. This makes it worse though, doesn't it?
It really does. This gives social media companies an even greater financial incentive, not just on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter could also be affected, to push these stories. And it all comes back down to the money.
Yeah.
The money is what's driving this because these groups know whether it's Sinclair Broadcasting, that's a major player in the JCPA, whether it's, Gannett, all these other outlets, they banded together because they have the money to do it.
Irony,
and nobody else can fight that.
The irony is here, they've destroyed corporate media. Yeah. They have completely destroyed corporate media. I mean, look, if you're 20, 25, 30 years old, you don't even watch news anymore. You go on social media. So they said, okay, we've destroyed television media. Let's now move to social media and see if we can destroy that too. That's kind of where this. Farron, I didn't quite understand. I did a quick read of the Earn It Act. Can you put that in terms of something simple to understand?
It's a very complicated, complex thing where they're trying to root out exploitive images of children on the internet. But really what it is it's allowing corporate media outlets to kind of have the reins on what can and cannot fly on social media. Mm-hmm. So if they can come out there and say, oh, well, listen, hey, you got this story floating around, this looks a little bad from an independent outlet, they can effectively kill it and get it pulled off of these social media outlets. It's putting the corporate media in the driver's seat of basically, I don't want to call it censorship. Well, I guess it is censorship. And so they get to be the drivers of
But they
it.
pick the issue, say, oh, this is all about child pornography. No, it's not.
Right.
That's the cover. And then after they get past the cover, then they really pull the trigger, which is, we're not going to let people say what we don't want them to say, basically.
Well, and
right?
it's, we run into that all the time because we've done a lot of videos on the human trafficking crisis.
Yeah, since I'm handling those cases all over the country.
And
right.
now that I've mentioned that, there's a good chance this video will get demonetized and shared less on YouTube because even mentioning it, the opioid crisis was another one. If you talk about that, they will punish
this law firm initiated. We started the opioid litigation right here in this law firm.
Exactly. Two major issues that we're in the forefront on, and we can't even talk about
Our
them.
first 3 stories disappeared when we were talking about McKesson and Cardinal and CVS and Walgreens and Walmart and how they were murdering Americans and 150 Americans were dying a day. They made those stories disappear.
They did.
Corporate media didn't tell the story because all those people I just named, they're advertisers. Cities in Puerto Rico have filed a major racketeering lawsuit against fossil fuel companies for covering up the dangers of climate change. Well, there's been several attempts to make this happen, right? And none of them have been successful so far. I think it's basically you're batting zero, which is a shame because there's some really, really good material. It's worth it to read the lawsuit and understand how much these, Exxon, for example, that they absolutely knew 50 years ago what was coming, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The documents go back to definitely the 70s. There's actually a couple from the 50s where they said, wait a minute now, we think this is messing up. There's newspaper reports from the 1910s, I think 1918, where, hey, the burning of coal seems to be changing the climate. So over 100 years ago, even the media was still talking about climate change. But either way, the documents in these companies, they're all colluding together, basically. We're going to pool our money. We're going to fund this think tank. We're going to create a think tank here. And we're going to tell people that climate change is just the weather changing every day.
Right.
And basically,
well, you
cast
saw
doubt
the
on whole
documents.
thing.
Actually, I saw where you actually did show after show where you said, this isn't me talking.
Right.
Let me show you the damn
We've
documents.
seen the
This
documents.
is where they wrote that. This is how we take the scare out of climate change. Those were the documents.
Right. And paying off the scientists, which Exxon did.
What they call key opinion leaders talk about.
Yeah,
it.
they would offer, and there's even a database now where they can go and just find a list of who can sign their name on what. But they would offer scientists tens of thousands of dollars. They had the report already written saying climate change is fake, oil is great, just saying, hey, scientists, you're reputable. Put your signature on this. We'll give you $25,000. And they did it.
Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Duke, you name it. There was always some blood-sucking bottom feeder scientist or doctor or whatever that was willing to say, yeah, I'll sign off on that. They didn't even write it most of the time. The industry, Exxon would write the article. They would say why climate change isn't real. Doc, you mind, we're going to give you $50,000 to sign off. No problem. They'd sign off on it.
Yeah, and so that's why this particular lawsuit is different from some of those other ones, because this one's going after the racketeering angle.
Yeah.
So that could be something that maybe gives a little oomph, but at the end of the day, the liability for it, you just can't hit that standard, unfortunately. You can't prove that the gasoline I burned that I bought from Exxon.
Causation connection.
So it's just, we know it did,
Yeah.
but linking it to the exact companies is damn near impossible.
Well, there's market share kinds of arguments, and once a court will go ahead and assume a market share kind of analysis. That is, we know for the last 20 years, Exxon, what your market share was. And we know that all of you had a specific market share. That's always been the way I've approached multiple defendants. Early on this one, I'm calling probably not going to make it, but I love to see that these people are trying.
Yeah.
President Biden stepped in to avert a massive rail strike. But workers, they got the really, really bad end of this deal. Is there any way to dress this up? I mean, for God's sakes, Biden says, remember when he came in as the union guy and he's going all over the country, I'm big on unions, blah,
And big
blah.
on trains.
Big
He was
on
the train
trains.
guy.
I love trains because yeah, that was his line. I go back and forth on a train every day. I love trains. Tell him what he did to the train people.
We were looking down the barrel of a massive rail strike because the rail workers when you look at how they've been treated, oh my God, it's on par with Amazon almost. These people were not allowed to take a day off. They weren't guaranteed any sick days whatsoever. Benefits were garbage. Pay was garbage. They wanted better and they deserve better. Our economy depends on these people. $2 billion a day we were going to lose as a country if this strike went forward. And so Biden goes to Congress and says, listen, guys, we got to avert this strike. But rather than doing anything, passing legislation to help these workers, they basically give them nothing. All they do is they pass something that says, you can't go on strike. You have to accept the deal the rail companies put forward, which this is so sick. The final one
no pun intended.
Yeah, the final one that passed. They did, of course, the House did pass that, we'll give you 7-day sick leave, but it was a separate piece that they knew would fail in the Senate, which is why they did it. This is the agreement that was passed, but the workers rejected. It does not include a single day of paid sick leave and would only allow 3 penalty-free days off per year for medical visits. But even that time off is heavily constrained. It's unpaid, can only be taken on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, must be scheduled at least 30 days in advance. So many hoops you have to jump through to go to the doctor.
I know I'm going to be sick 30 days from now. So let me go ahead and put you on notice.
Well, I hope it's on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that you're sick.
Yeah, because not Friday, not Thursday or Friday.
It's insane.
Well, okay,
they made him do it.
Okay, why? I'm going to get all this. Antonio's gone to the right again because I'm talking about their president. Again, I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm damn sure not Republican. But you got to talk about the fact this guy ran on the idea, I'm the union guy. I'm going to bring life back to the union. This ain't life back to the union, brother.
No, these workers are absolutely sickened over what has happened with this deal. They had the collective bargaining power. They are an established union. They're not trying to form one. They've got it. So they had the power. They had the power to grind the economy to a halt, which, it would have hurt us. But that's why they stepped in. We can't take another hit to our economy. It's already in the toilet.
Record profits these railways are making. Record profits. And they say to these people, well, we can't get you a legitimate sick day. Unless you do all this stuff that they know never going to happen. And they have to negotiate. They have to say, well, we can't overreach because the Senate's not going to approve it. He could go and say, this is important to what I ran on. This is who I'm supposed to be. Again, Farron, I think it comes down to, I can't blame everything on him all the time. It's the people that he surrounded himself with. Nancy Pelosi's successor has been announced, but it looks like just more of the same for Democrats. God bless, I just thought we'd get a break here. Did we get one?
We did not. We got Representative Hakeem Jeffries, who is 30 years younger than Pelosi, so that, he's got that going for him. But other than that, he ticks off every single box of being nothing more than another corporate political hack. He came from a corporate defense law firm, something we always talk about with these people. They stay loyal to them. He's the top recipient of hedge fund money in the House, all kinds of other corporations. He's voted against, things like the Green New Deal. He won't sign on to it. Just a very run-of-the-mill corporate right-wing Democrat.
Why do we get the best stories? This is another. We've done 2 Common Dream stories here today that weren't reported anywhere else. Common Dreams, Norman Solomon. Good. It gives it's an op-ed by Norman Solomon. He says, wait just a second. This Jeffries guy, this is nothing like you're expecting. He is so far away from AOC or anything progressive, it'll make your head spin. He's described as a Clinton corporate Democrat, Clinton's the guy that brought us NAFTA, destroyed unions. That was okay with the Democrats. They just adjusted. It was okay that he gave us the landmark crime bill that housed more people because it was the advent of corporate prisons. That's what Bill Clinton left us. Wall Street deregulations brought on the 2008 meltdown. You've got he created havoc where it comes to progressive issues. That's what Clinton did. This guy is Clinton on steroids.
He really is. And Clinton also gave us the Telecommunications Act.
Oh yeah, by the way,
helped conform the consolidated corporate media. But look, Jeffries, It's not the progressive. It's not the kind of person the Democrats really should have gone with at this moment. What they've elected is basically 30 more years of another version of Nancy Pelosi because this guy isn't a fighter. He's great at raising money, which is what Pelosi's biggest strength was. And that appears to be all they care about. When it comes to actually doing, writing a piece of legislation to help the American public, to help struggling families, this is not the guy. He is not the savior. We still have to look elsewhere.
If you go down the list of issues progressive that he voted against, it is staggering. I mean, and Pelosi knows this. She came up with the housing bill in New York. The guy comes out and votes against it. That's just fair housing where they want to, we need to change.
And that's his area.
That's
I'm not
his
even going
area.
to help my people.
And oh, by the way, while that's happening, he gets more hedge fund money than any Democrat up in Washington right now. Hedge fund money. So you think Wall Street loves him because he cares about progressives? Or do you think they love him because this is the new Democrat, the corporate Democrat? That's what we have here is the corporate Democrat. And it's just a rework. It's a rework of Bill Clinton, isn't it?
It is. And what we can expect, obviously, more pushback against the progressives, which is one thing he's actually on record as saying.
Talk about that. I missed that whole point.
There will never be a moment where I bend the knee to hard left democratic socialism, which democratic socialism is basically FDR.
Hates Bernie Sanders. This guy hates Bernie Sanders. Anytime he can talk about Bernie Sanders, by God, he's going to talk about Bernie's a socialist, borderline communist. He's going to destroy the American economy, blah, 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 blah. This is the guy that Nancy Pelosi said is the future of the Democratic Party. Those are her words. Yeah. He is the future of the Democratic Party.
There's a ton of bright stars in the House.
There's so many.
I mean, you could have gone with a Ro Khanna, a Katie Porter, a Ted Lieu.
Why not a Katie Porter? I mean, Katie Porter is just...
Did you know? Let me put it this way. The Republicans spent $8 million to unseat Katie Porter.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party put $300,000 in her race.
Wow.
They don't want her there. She eked one out. It was tough, but she got it.
Well, she's at the other hemisphere of this Jeffries cat that's going to be leading the Democrats now. Republicans gained control of Congress in less than a month, and they've already packed the agenda with investigations into everything. We're going to investigate the Hunter Biden issue. We're going to investigate voting. We're going to investigate this one I do love. Investigate the damn FBI and CIA and their political involvement. I do love that. But they can't learn. Every time they do that, they lose the next time. I mean, you could graph it out. Midterm wins and they start all these investigations. Well, they lose the next time. I don't know. What do you think? Where do you think it's going?
It's the politics of revenge, which is basically where we're at. I think a lot with both parties at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
We get power, we're going to take on your guys. Well, we got it now, we're going to take on your guys. And the Republicans ran in the midterm saying, crime is rampant. We got to do something about crime.
Yeah.
Inflation's terrible. We're going to do something about it. We're going to do something about all the shortages experiencing, the gas prices. None of that is on the agenda anywhere near it because they don't really care.
Yeah.
But the Hunter Biden, by God, you better get your laptop ready because you're coming in to talk about it. And listen, what's funny to me and what's funny to a lot of other progressives is when they keep hammering Hunter Biden, our response is, go for it. We don't care about Hunter Biden.
Unless they have that magic bullet that ties Joe Biden up to the Hunter Biden story, which they say they do. I don't know. Well, time will tell. We'll see. But the point is, I kind of like this because it's going to destroy them in the next, if they don't learn, if they don't say, do some good things for people. Do some things on climate. Do some things on education, do some things on human welfare, do some good things. And don't waste all this time with all this negativity. I'll tell you who ought to be worried is that little Schiff guy. What's his?
Adam Schiff. Well, they've already suggested they're going to kick him off his committees.
Yeah.
That's part of the politics of revenge. But 6 months ago, Kevin McCarthy in an interview was talking about we're not going to waste our time with investigations because he admitted, he goes, that'll kill us in 2024.
They all know
but he let people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, he made deals with her, support me for speaker. I will let you investigate whatever you want to do.
Okay, and the media will eat it up. The media sees exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The more these people look like kooks and they can't help themselves, damn Republicans can't help themselves. They always have to look a little crazy. this is going to make them look as crazy as a loon.
Yep.
And so the media is going to feed that into everyday news, and that's going to be the brand by the time it's all over.
Yeah, they can't help themselves, like you said.
Farron, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
That's all for this week, but all these segments are going to be available this coming week right here on this channel. And you can follow us on Twitter at America's Lawyer. I'm Mike Papantonio, and this has been America's Lawyer, where every week we tell you the stories that corporate media won't tell you because their advertisers won't let them tell you the story, or because their political connections are so deep that they can't tell the story. But we can. So we'll see you here next time.